Why do I feel like that music's supposed to be part of not Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right?
Sandra, have you heard about this new free-to-play MMO with over 160 million players?
The best thing about World of Tanks is not just that it's free, which it is
That they're continuously pumping out new content.
Incognito mode. Hobbies.
Brought to you by Walled-Off Tank.
Brought to you by World of Tanks. All right. Here we go.
Brought to you by Walled-Off Tanks. Hobbies. Hobbies.
Hobbies.
What are hobbies? Is rock climbing a hobby?
It is.
All this and more on In the
Feel?
Field.
All right. Metal detecting. Come to think about it, I no longer have hobbies. I don't. Well, if you consider playing games a hobby, I guess that's a hobby that I have.
Well, duh.
I don't have many anymore. You know, I used to read. Oh, wow. Yeah, go figure. I used to read. I used to write stories, you know. I got a couple of stories locked away. Maybe one day when I'm dead. Being a mom is not a hobby. So I don't know what else that I got.
All right, so do you have any hobbies?
I do, actually. I have many.
Really?
Yeah, swindling larger YouTube channels, that's probably the biggest one. But outside of that, I play Dungeons & Dragons every week.
Nerd.
Okay, well...
No, sorry, carry on. Sorry, I didn't realize my mic was on. Carry on.
Do you just have a big red button that you push to mute when you want to yell slurs? Tell me about your hobbies.
The older you get, the more maintenances around the house become your hobbies. I do quite a lot of gardening.
Old green thumb, eh?
I'm not amazing at
I feel him on that. I so want to become a gardener. That is number one thing I want to learn. A couple plants have died on my watch. I guess YouTube is still considered a hobby. Jesus, if I really think about it. Hobby / part-time job.
I am good at keeping them.
Yeah. Once in a while, landscaping as well. Like I rent the diggers and then I smooth out the dirt and such. Otherwise, I watch a lot of YouTube.
So that's interesting because I don't.
Interesting.
I don't know if that makes me a bad YouTuber or a good one. Because...
Oh, I've got my hand in the air. I have the answer to this 1 minute kudos.
Am I a good YouTuber or not?
Bad! I want to guess bad YouTuber. Carry on, mini kudos.
Was it the awful videos or the lack of uploads?
I'd say both, sir.
Well, Timmy, maybe one day you too can put off uploading to your YouTube channel. Something I find interesting but I'd never do is those people who go like, I know what you call it, like dredging or magnet fishing, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Where you see these videos on YouTube and TikTok, which are probably like faked a lot of the time, but I'm sure you find there just so many guns.
I love that stuff. Watching people panning for gold, people like looking around with metal detectors and stuff. In fact, I was so into that stuff for a while, this is before I had a YouTube channel, that I bought a metal detector and I went to his store and I'm like, come on, we're going to go down to a thing. We're going to go to a park or something and we're going to find a creek and we're just going to like metal detect around. As soon as I had the metal detector in my hand, I was so embarrassed. I just felt embarrassed. I can't explain it.
The reality set in that you'd have to be the guy going metal detecting.
Yeah, and we went down to like this creek and on the way there, you'd pass by people and you'd kind of like try to push the metal detector kind of behind their line of sight so they wouldn't see you. And then we got down there and boy, that metal detector was a real piece of shit. I didn't have much money at the time, so I just bought like the cheapest one. And so it only made a beeping noise when there wasn't anything.
That is the worst scenario. Because it still works, but it's now incredibly annoying.
Loud and awful, yeah.
Like the idea that her store is so mad she leaves you and you have to walk home that day.
We didn't find anything except like one bottle cap, and then like on the way back we're like, oh, there's a beach. All right, fine, I'm gonna try the beach, and couldn't find anything. We're making this really loud fucking noise. People are looking at us, and then I went, all right, I'm not finding anything here. Hold on, and I threw $2 into the sand
Just to see.
to see if the thing would pick it up. It not only didn't pick it up, but then I lost the $2 in the sand. I lost money.
Lost money both ways.
Stupid fucking hobby, and I haven't been metal detecting ever since.
Pigeons. Oh, pigeon racing. No, Doesn't Mike Tyson have a pigeon hobby? Like he no, that's not a hobby. He takes care of pigeons. It's taking care of, that's not a hobby. I don't know. I didn't know about pigeon racing, but I knew about pigeon, like just taking care of pigeons. Let's go ahead and scratch all that. Let's just keep going. Okay.
To get into pigeon racing.
Pigeon racing.
I met a guy who bred and raced pigeons.
Okay.
And it is fascinating. They'll race these things over, like 400 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
And it'll come like down to the wire.
Yeah.
It is really cool the way they breed these particular pigeons and like, oh, well, this one has particular...
So horse racing, but we also have bird racing.
Basically the same way you keep chickens.
Yeah.
But they just sit there and make this noise like...
That's a really good pigeon noise.
Oh, thank you. Instead of like a chicken does, right? And chickens are awful and they stink, but pigeons are just like, hey, I'm purring like a cat,
I also don't like pigeons, but I will give you that they are quieter and less smelly than chickens.
Yes.
Possibly less tasty too, though. But my only issue with something like pigeon racing is because it's, I'm assuming, of somewhat of a niche sport. I would feel like I'd want like cool video game stats involved. Like if I was going to be breeding these little suckers, I'd want to have like a UI where I can be like, here's this guy's speed rating out of 10.
They do that.
What the fuck?
They have these little ankle bracelet things, and then they have like a QR code on them, and then they have like these websites online that take all of their stats and track them by GPS and do all this stuff. It's like crazy.
That's like sports stats, but for birds.
And you know what? Here's how you race a pigeon, right?
You throw it really hard.
You go to the starting line, and then you let it go, and then you sit in a chair having a few drinks, and then someone's going to call you on the phone in a few hours and tell you that you won or lost.
Wow. So you can bet on these things, I'm assuming? Because you can bet on anything.
Yeah, and it's like, once you win, then you can put this pigeon out to stud like a bull. This one's the fastest. Well, now it's worth like $100,000. Come on.
Wow.
And you put it in a cage with like 200 female pigeons.
And you play romantic pigeon music.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that this is just going to be the greatest moment of this pigeon's life. It's fucking hilarious.
That's
My problem is
amazing.
pigeons suck, and I think something like a hawk or something seems way cooler to breed.
Hawks are pretty cool. Well, hawks are the natural enemy of the pigeon, you see.
So what you're saying is I should breed hawks and you should breed pigeons.
No.
We'll see who wins.
No. Ad time.
Oh, ad
World
time.
of Tanks sponsorship. Sandra, have you heard about this new free-to-play MMO with over
No.
160 million players?
The best thing about World of Tanks is not just that it's free, which it is.
Is that they're continuously pumping out new content.
Why do I feel like that music's supposed to be part of not Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right?
Sandra, have you heard about this new free-to-play MMO with over 160 million players?
The best thing about World of Tanks is not just that it's free, which it is.
Is that they're continuously pumping out new content. Like an old drainpipe in the Philippines, there's a constant flow of content into the greater ocean. Did you know you can enjoy World of Tanks on a console or on the mobile phone?
The mobile,
All you have
look
to
at that
do is
flip
call up
phone.
this number and you tell them where you want to move. Yeah, go 5 yards forward. Fire. Did I hit him?
That's a hit.
Now, Sandra, this game is set in the post-apocalypse. All of the animals have gone extinct except for the tank. But then a world war breaks out between them.
Hey, Mohammed, I heard there's only one tank in the whole game.
That's not true, Sandra. In fact, there are lots of different classes of tank. You can be a healing tank, you can be a stealth tank, you can even be a druid tank. This is downtown London, before any sort of conflict happened. Boy, this really reminds me of a war I can't mention, Sandra. So go to the link below and use the code COMBAT. We'll give you a Cromwell B premium tank. 250,000 credits. 7 days World of Tank premium account time, plus 3 rental premium tanks. By the way, they sent us some promo stuff, and some of these are like ads that have Arnold Schwarzenegger in them, and Mila Jokovic and Chuck Norris. I don't know why they sent me this, but it's brilliant. Look at this.
Also, they collaborate with Girls und Panzer.
Oh, I actually like that one, and same with Valkyria Chronicles. It's a good game.
You know, Sandra, I heard they're adding a dating sim to World of Tanks.
Oh,
That was a battlefield, huh?
My barrel is all filled with ash and debris. Take this pipe cleaner and go to
That is, right? Persona?
town. Sandra, how come you're in that tank right now?
I don't know.
Oh, stop it. You're destroying the whole set.
Oh no!
So click on the link in the description below and use code COMBAT to get a whole bunch of stuff. Look at this stuff.
An ad within an ad within an ad.
Add over.
Ad over. Oh my gosh, what's happening? That's a hobby?
I know what the worst hobby is.
What?
Candle making.
Oh, that was fun for a while.
What's the fucking point? Go down to the store and buy a big candle
was
for
fun.
$1. Or if you want a scented one, they're everywhere. Like, I don't understand why people are making their own candles. There's one fun part about candle making, which is that you can dip your hand in the hot wax. And then you've got like a claw thing that you can start, peeling away.
It is surprising that isn't some kind of therapeutical thing, because that seems like somewhere like, have you been to the wax dipping?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they got those smoke pots and acupuncture
Yeah,
and shit. Why don't they have
acupuncture.
wax
That's
dipping?
nice
That's
too.
the perfect massage thing, because it kind of hurts, like a lot of
Yeah,
those
sorry,
kind
a
of
massage
treatments.
thing.
Acupuncture, massaging. There's like a pain element to them, but there's also like a satisfaction element to them, where afterwards you feel like and then afterwards your skin would probably feel real like moisturized or something.
Yeah, because you would sweat.
Trains, on the other hand, I could see trains, because trains are like, that's a bit of a novelty. Like an old train's kind of cool to ride on.
There's this park in Melbourne, and it's got like this tiny train. And there's a little conductor dude that sits at the front, and he just gives rides like all day.
That's awesome.
I was enjoying the hell out of that, and I understood it all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're just suddenly all the cynicism that went into your early videos washes
washes
away.
away.
And that's why you only upload twice a year now.
Yes, I'm just too obsessed with trains now. Oh, is that the DC-45? Running on time, I see.
Would you tie a woman to the tracks? Do you reckon that? Do they even do
Wow.
that? Is that a real thing someone did?
I would presume so. I would presume that's a pretty good way of taking someone out.
Didn't they do that in Inception?
You're waiting for a train.
Sorry.
It has to be one of the most horrible way. Like, you're going to be mincemeat 100% chance. There's
Tom and
no
Jerry
way you're
did it
getting out of
too.
that.
Throw that one up, Jamie. Does anyone ever get tied to the railroad tracks?
It turns out, while it's rare, yes, there are several known incidents of this happening. For example, according to the August 31st, 1874 issue of the New York Times, a Frenchman identified by the papers as simply Gardiner was killed in this exact manner after being robbed and left tied to a railway track. I had it all the way up until we got to railway. Okay. It was a thing.
When did they start using the guillotine? That was around the 1700s, wasn't it? And that's like the same time that the train was around. Why didn't they just use the train?
Well, a bit messier to clean up, I think. You can't just have a train running around covered in gore all the time.
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood train? Stop.
Issued guillotining in France happened when the first Star Wars movie was in theaters.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like the 1970s or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like way later than you'd think.
Yeah. Do you reckon it hurts?
I actually think about that more often than I should, because they say that your brain activity still kicks around for a good 30 seconds afterwards.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Do you reckon you're just like, fuck. Wow, this sucks.
Well, you'd land in the basket and then you'd be all nauseous, right? Because you'd be like, you'd spin and then land upside down. And you'd be like, my face is right up against this wicker. This is terrible.
Yeah, this just sucks.
Then you might be a bit bored for a little while, like just waiting to die.
I hate thinking about this. This is stressing me out like it's something I have to do later.
Okay, what would be the worst part about getting guillotined? Because I suppose...
Are you looking down when you get that, or are you looking up at the blade? Either way, it's something that I don't want to experience in my lifetime. So yeah, that's that.
There would be a moment just before you put your head in it that you get really close to the guillotine and you kind of have this thought that's like, oh, this is really dangerous.
I shouldn't
Do you
be
know what I
doing
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you get too close to it, like a bandsaw or
Yeah, you get like a
something
tingle in your
shock glass.
hand.
Yeah. Oh, I've got it. Right. So what you do is underneath you want to have a bit of a lever, like a seesaw, and then you have the basket there. So the moment it cuts through, your head falls off, it launches your head straight into the air, and then it's kind of like, whoa, I get to see the whole crowd.
That'd be the worst if it only cut through halfway.
Yeah, or it gets stuck, and then they
You have
try
to
to
pull it up.
Oh
again.
my gosh.
then that's pulling
Okay.
your neck as well.
And they just kind of they just stand above it and just kick the back of your head.
Oh, here's the problem. You tied a bloody knot in the rope. It's caught against the... It's like caught against the wooden beam.
Oh my god.
This is very morbid.
Very.
So I'm just thinking of another ways to do the guillotine. Because you could have them at the very top.
You drop them onto
This is definitely not a fun hobby.
Have an enormous spring underneath the blade. So everyone has to kind of pull, and then it
Upwards. Oh, the body goes back.
This feels like if like as seen on TV infomercials invented a guillotine. Like, aren't you sick and tired of that normal guillotine? And they invent this weird double-sided guillotine that can like cut.
It slices, it dices, and only 3 payments of $39.95 plus postage. And the old person tries to drop the blade, but then they just kind of fall over, and then they're
Yeah, they try and pull on the rope, and then they just immediately go and turn to the camera, like holding their wrist. What about one that's like a fan, and it's like
oh yeah, so you just keep sliding people through it.
like a conveyor, and have them turned into little slices.
Oh yeah, that would be quite nice. Yeah, we're
That would
essentially
be quite
describing a
nice.
deli slicer, but yeah.
Electric chair, that sounds pretty bad, but I feel like it'd be pretty quick.
Okay.
No,
so
I don't think
how
so.
do we improve the electric chair? I'm thinking what you do is
I don't
instead
think
of one
it's
big
quick.
shock, just thousands of little shocks.
That just
That seemed like very
randomly
painful.
occur all over your body.
Yeah, it's like you're constantly licking a 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
What if they just tape the battery to your tongue and then walk away and go,
It does 1 damage at a time, but eventually... Well, that's just death by 1,000 cuts, but it's death by 1,000 small shocks.
oh, fuck.
I wonder if you did just cover someone in wet 9-volt batteries, like whether you would die from starvation or like electrical current.
I think eventually, like, your muscles must just give out.
But it's like the muscles, it'll be your heart or brain that like gives up.
Yeah, your heart would give out. Yeah, that would be it. Yeah. You'd just get overexerted.
Yeah, okay, hold on. What if electrical chair, but there's a phone to play Family Guy on it while you die?
What if, like... Oh, shit. I just lost it.
Did the Family Guy phone flashbanged you?
Throwing flashbang.
It just wiped your brain like a Men in Black clicker.
I can't focus. I can't focus.
Imagine a Men in Black if instead you didn't see anything and they held up Family Guy Funny Moments compilation.
Oysters.
One of those things that I got interested in for quite a while was oysters.
Oysters.
They're great,
Yeah.
though.
Oysters.
Yeah,
I just thought they
oysters.
were really interesting.
You went on oysters.com.
I don't know what that is.
What?
It won't be good though. And I went to this oyster tour in Tasmania, and they were just telling about all these like really interesting things about oysters. So yeah, we used to have these piles and piles of shells.
Wow.
We would burn them and turn them into lime. Like, oh, really? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so anyway, most oysters are about 7 years old, and here's how they mate.
Let me get some of that oyster-see. Yeah. I think it's a clam, not an oyster, but there's a picture where like they put a bunch of salt in front of a clam and its big gross tongue like flops out and licks up all the salt.
Don't show it.
Have you seen that?
No.
No.
Let me find that. It's
No!
really, it is interesting.
Pull that one up, Jamie. It's doing it.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah, they're pretty awful.
I just want to fucking slam my fist down on it when its tongue's out.
Do you reckon it pulls its tongue out and goes, ooh, salty?
Yeah, well, that's because if it hated salt, but then like it also has to use its tongue as its like primary means of transportation, so it has to like put its tongue in the salt to get away from the salt. It's kind of like it's like a saw trap almost.
Yes, why hasn't anyone done saw but for animals? Yes. You're always poking your tongue out at people. Well, now there's salt around and stuff.
What if there was a Saw movie where he just did it to like innocuous animals? No one gave a shit about like clams and like deep sea anglerfish.
You're always just swimming around in the dark. Now you're sellotaped to a 800-watt light bulb. He's having like a mussel and clam stew, but he throws them all in a pot and then turns the water on to boil. And he goes, here I have set up a trap. You must escape before the water boils. But he always intended just to have a stew.
Yeah, exactly. He just watches as they boil because they're fucking like clams. They can't do anything.
Now comes the warm butter.
If you do not escape in 10 seconds, you'll be enveloped in fresh cream, which will permeate into your lungs and tongue, rendering you unable to move. What's an animal you would like to see in a saw trap?
Sometimes I see those birds that are like, they're usually water birds, and they've got these very long, slender legs. I just think, God, that would be satisfying just to walk over and be like, snap that.
Oh my
Jesus.
You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't actually want to hurt it, but
Like a breadstick.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm not going to, but it's kind of like, you know, when your mate is showing off a brand new pencil.
Oh, yeah, and you just what?
And he's like, I love this thing. I've sharpened it perfectly. And you just want to reach over and snap it. In my head, all this stuff is absolutely hilarious. In real life, one time there was this mouse that got caught in a mouse trap at our place, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish him, so I had to let him go free in the park.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to do that either. I feel like my problem with Saw is, or just any horror movie really, which is another hobby a lot of people seem to love that I just don't understand. People never deserve it.
No.
Which I guess is kind of the point, but when it's like, oh, just some teacher who didn't like
appreciate somebody going through hard times. You don't appreciate it, I guess. I don't know. The storyline, of course, the first one starts off, it makes sense. I get it. Then they made the second and third and fourth and fifth, and it's like, you know what? Let's forget the plot. And let's just see how many traps we can put people in and let them get out of.
People never deserve it.
No.
Which I guess is kind of the point, but when it's like, oh, just some teacher who didn't like appreciate their family enough or something, it's like, this person doesn't deserve to have their like face cut in half.
Yeah, no. That's a sort of lesson that you would learn over the course of a lifetime to like appreciate your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that one's gonna work itself out.
You've just given them PTSD. You haven't solved anything.
True.
One time I Dungeoned and Dragoned.
Okay, interesting. When was this?
I've never
was invited to do some D&D stuff back in my university days. I showed up on a Saturday. It was about 1 in the afternoon, and we were there until about 7 o'clock, and we had to call it quits at 7 o'clock because the host's mum was coming home then. In that 6 hours, I think we managed to play for about an hour. And then the other 3 hours were spent setting up the game, and the other 2 arguing about the rules.
Wow.
So you had the authentic experience, is what you're saying?
I am amazed that anyone gets to do more than about 15 minutes of gaming per 4-hour session. You got any D&D story? You ever kill a man?
I remember one time I went to a card store to buy some cards, and they were having like their weekly D&D night where like a whole bunch of different tables were all set up for people to play D&D.
Yeah.
And there's a guy sitting at one of them who had head to toe full Deadpool merch on.
Oh.
He had a Deadpool hat, he had a Deadpool jumper on, the jeans, I believe, probably just regular jeans, but they were black to fit with the color scheme. Yeah. And then he had red and black sneakers, which I don't know if they were Deadpool branded, but they were definitely, continuing the color scheme.
You know what? Maybe it was like a bad coincidence. Like maybe these are all the things he doesn't usually wear. Because, okay, this happened to me once, right? Somehow, when I was like 11, I think my mum had bought me a camouflage shirt and camouflage shorts. And so, like my dad, right, he kind of wanted me to be a bit of a snob for some reason when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So he used to take me to the driving range all the time. And I remember looking in my closet and going, oh, I don't have anything except this camouflage shirt and these camouflage shorts that I never wear. And so I just had to wear both of those. And so I looked like I was going to the military at age 11. And I remember distinctly, like, we were waiting to go in. And there's these 2 absolute strangers who walk by in the other direction and they salute. And I just died. That's probably what happened to this dude. I think I would like to retire to a small town in Tasmania called Launceston.
Okay.
And one of the reasons is I was there and I was walking around downtown and, oh, neat, looks like a Warhammer store. So I went in and I bought a book, which I never read. And then I went back out and then I walked 2 stores down and then all of a sudden another comic book store.
Okay.
And like, hey, that's brilliant. There's like 2 of these in a very small town. And then I walked around the corner of the block.
Another one?
And there was like one of those war games stores right there. It was all within like 100-yard radius. It was brilliant.
I'd love to find like a real nerdy town that you just like, yeah, we're really nerdy, so what?
Yeah, we don't reproduce.
We just make a commune in the highlands of
No girls
Tasmania.
allowed.
We just ship in Warhammer and D&D.
Absolutely. And then we set up like a cross between an internet cafe and a deli. But we only let our friends in, and then everybody gets free delegates, right? And then eventually one of us becomes the mayor. I actually Googled once the current mayor of Launceston, and I thought, you know what? I could at least take this guy in a fight.
Yeah,
Easy.
which is how they settle the mayorship in Tasmania.
Yeah, that's right. You stand in the middle of the triangle that intersects the 3 war game stores.
Yeah, and you have the ultimate war game.
Don't know much about that.
Understood Yu-Gi-Oh! Because half my friends play it, but like you look at one of those cards and it is just a novel, man. It is like
I have only ever seen the show, and that thing
Never
does not
seen the
seem to have
show.
any rules at all.
yeah, those motherfuckers just making shit up on the fly.
You can't use 2 beast cards on one deck without sacrificing at least a spirit card. You what? Who? When did that happen? And then Yu-Gi-Oh! Immediately does it anyway without sacrificing the spirit card. And then he looks like he's, oh no, Yugi, you've lost all your life points. But then he's like, hold on a minute, I've got the heart of the cards. What does that mean? And then all of a sudden his poor life points
He
come
just
back.
pulls out a gun.
Did you ever watch Yu-Gi-Oh?
I did. I was obsessed with it as a kid. But you're right. It has such little bearing on the actual game. I like to imagine the card designers just saw every episode come out and they're just like, fuck. How are we going to keep up with, like, because obviously kids are going to buy the decks being like, I want to do Yuki's cool move.
Blue Eyes White Dragon, please.
I remember as a kid looking up the cards and the descriptions are completely different to the show and being really disappointed. I also think some kids stole my cards. I'm not sure.
I know who it was. It was that goddamn Kaiba.
I don't know. I'm just listening.
He held your grandfather to ransom, and he wanted your Dark Wizard card. I think Yugi has the... I don't know if his name is Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Yugi.
His name's Yugi, and then when he turns into the version of him that's trapped in the Millennium Puzzle, he's Yami Yugi.
I forgot about that, the Millennium Puzzle.
Yeah.
And don't forget the Millennium Eye, Yug.
And that's right, there he can like see under Yugi's clothes with it or something.
His facial expression would just change when he goes between the two of them. He had the most bizarre hair of any anime character I've ever seen.
I like it.
What is even happening?
Yeah,
with that? It's
yeah.
like 3 different colors, and it's almost a pyramid.
At least like most anime characters here, it's like stupid, but you're like, okay, theoretically with
Who's
enough
that?
hair, you could make that happen. Like Cloud's here or something.
Yeah.
Like there's just a blonde guy with spiky, like shaped hair. And then Joey's just from Brooklyn for some reason, even though it's like set in Japan.
Didn't it? Wait, wasn't this in a video?
Yeah, I also did a video on this. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which you can click on the top right.
Yeah,
corner of the
don't do
screen.
that. Don't do that. Don't click on that.
Game over. The end.
All right, listen up, Mini Cooters. I've got your granddad. I'm going to
Granddad
expose him
Cooter?
to my gamma radiation card.
I'm going to play a mountain and tap it and cast lightning bolt on your
Are you
force-
turning Egyptian right now?
You've already done this joke before. Don't make me do blackface.
You're just in denial, Mini Cooters.
Man, you need to start finding someone else to do these.
All right, thanks for being on. I'll catch you later.
Oh, we'll see you at, well, we got D&D tonight, and then you said you're coming around for Magic tomorrow.
My mum's coming home at 7. I gotta go.
We've got Yu-Gi-Oh! The day after that, and
Game
then
of Thrones?
we're going to be watching Game of Thrones the day after that. Warhammer, I think, is booked in on Sunday. So
I've got some terrible
news.
oh,
This is historian,
oh,
internet historian's wife.
oh, okay. Nice.
He has died. He won't be able to make any of those appointments. Don't contact this number again.
I'm
Goodbye.
at your door looking at you, though.
Goodbye.
We've been talking.
our privacy.
We've been talking face to
This
face.
time of bereavement.
I'm looking at you.
Goodbye.
Do not forget World of Tanks.
See, at the ending there, I didn't understand much because I don't know anything about the whole Dungeons and Dragons. Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh my God, he said it plenty of times, but yet my mind couldn't catch it. But hobbies, what kind of hobbies do you have, if any? Fishing is a nice hobby. You know, I would like to get into in my lifetime too. This is the stuff when I'm thinking now, like, oh, I'm getting older. What is the stuff that I want to do when I'm old? And gardening and fishing. It may sound boring, but it sounds fun in my mind. But there we go, Blaze Squad. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you blaze the like button. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, go ahead and comment.
The man, the myth, the legend.
And I'll see you guys in the next one.